Truth Unveiled here, and today I'm going to be talking about Bohemian Grove and Bohemian Club so you can see the whole truth and nothing but the truth about the Bohemian Grove, but so that you can also see what really goes on behind closed doors. Because today we're going to be talking about what it is, who attends, as well as the significance of the owl and the picture that you're looking at, that and more to come as we tackle this so you can see the whole truth and so that you can be deceived no more. And first, we're going to go over what the Bohemian Grove actually is, because here I am and I'm showing you this from Professor G. William Dumhoff of the Department of Sociology from the University of California at Santa Cruz. And according to him, this comes from Social Cohesion and the Bohemian Grove, the power elite at summer camp. But what you will see is that it's anything but summer camp. But it goes on to say that the Bohemian Grove is a 2,700-acre virgin redwood grove in Northern California, about 75 miles north of San Francisco, where the rich, the powerful, and their entourage visit each other during the last 2 weeks of July while camping out in cabins and tents. So around this time, so while they're continuing to distract you with all the protests and riots going on, what are the elite doing even as we speak? But let's keep going. It says it's an elk club for the rich, a fraternity party in the woods, a Boy Scout camp for old guys, complete with an initiation ceremony and a totem animal, the owl. And we're going to be going over the owl as well as more of the initiations that's done there. But it goes on to say that it's owned by the Bohemian Club, which was founded in San Francisco in 1872. The Bohemians started going on their little retreat shortly after the club was founded. It became big time by the 1880s and it continues today. However, it is not a place of power. It's a place where the powerful relax, enjoy each other's company, and get to know some of the artists, entertainers, and professors who are included to give the occasion a thin veneer of cultural and intellectual pretension. Despite the suspicions of many on the right and a few on the left, it is not a secret meeting place to plot, plan, or conspire. That couldn't be farther from the truth. But let's keep going. The most important decisions typically happen just where we might expect, in the boardrooms of corporations and foundations, at the White House, and in the back rooms of Congress. But is that the truth? Let's keep going. Yes, as I show later, some wannabes and has-been Republican politicians sometimes visit the Bohemian Grove, including future and former presidents of the United States, but they are there to demonstrate what wonderful human beings they are, to cultivate potential financial backers, or to brag about their past exploits. Oh my goodness, that could not be farther from the truth if they're even human, because we know about the cloning agenda and who they really are and who they really work for. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you're going to know in just a second to come. Now, the question you should be thinking about is, why do the elite have such a club anyway, and why is it only limited to the elite and to the elite men specifically? Because only men can attend this, not women whatsoever. Why is that the case? But I'm even here at Vanity Fair, and it even says to join the Bohemian Club, you must either be invited by several members or wait patiently for decades. And then there's the $25,000 initiation fee and the hefty yearly dues. And that's not the only initiation that it takes. And you're going to see what I'm talking about, because this is not a conspiracy theory. This is conspiracy fact. But let's keep going. Judging from the roster, which currently numbers about 2,500, it helps to be patrician, Republican, and white. Grovers have included captains of industry, politicians, as I call them, and the occasional artist to keep true to the club's bohemian roots. The following men are some of the most well-known attendees, both members and regular guests, of the Bohemian Club encampments, past and present. And what you're going to see about some of these attendees is that it's very interesting and suspicious indeed, and just who is attending all of this and some of the things that they talk about, because they even have George H.W. Bush. And George W. Bush, weren't they the ones who helped plan and conduct 9/11? And didn't their families contribute to funding both sides of the world wars that we've seen, as well as funding both World War I and World War II, not to mention World War III, with the help of the Zionists? Oh, let's keep keep going. We also have Dick Cheney, who we know is also behind 9/11 too. But we also have Calvin Coolidge and many others, being Crosby, John E. DuPont, Clint Eastwood, Dwight D. Eisenhower, Gerald Ford, Barry Goldwater, Merv Griffin, Alexander Haig, and many others. And we even have Henry Kissinger. Hasn't Henry Kissinger been talking about depopulating the plane? Isn't he the one that's told us that there's too many people on the earth and that there has to be depopulation in order for what? Depopulation in the plans of the New World Order. Didn't he publicly come out about that? Let's keep going. But we see even more elite down here. Colin Powell, Ronald Reagan, David Rockefeller, Nelson Rockefeller, the same family who basically controls the world for now, as well as Theodore Roosevelt, Karl Rove, and many others. Now, what they like to tell you is that these men just gather together, and when they come together, they just participate in camping-like activities, and they have so much fun camping, and they chop down trees, and that's all there is to it. Do you really think that's all that they do? Do you really think that the Rockefellers and the elite and the politicians all come together just to camp for 2 weeks? Do you really think that's the case, or is there something deeper and more sinister going on here? The answer to that question is, of course they do, but I'm here from Sonoma, and the reason that I'm here is because I'm showing you a dissertation where Peter Martin Phillips also talks about the Bohemian Club and what really goes on, and he titles his dissertation A Relative Advantage Sociology of the San Francisco Bohemian Club, and this was from the Doctor of Philosophy and Sociology in the Office of Graduate Studies of the University of California, Davis. Now, I've also talked about this book in my video Top Secret Meetings, where I talked about the Bilderbergers last month, and I'll make sure to link that in case you have not seen it. But the reason I'm talking about it again is because this dissertation highlights all of what goes on in the Bohemian Club, not to mention more of the members as well as the different organizations and companies and corporations that these elite members are involved with and what they coincide with and what they really do at these places. And as you can see here, here is the list of the table of contents, and as you can see, it says Sociology of Elite Men's Club, Chapter 1. Chapter 2 talks about the historical development of men's clubs in the United States, and notice how they call it clubs, just like the Illuminati, and we're going to talk about the Illuminati more and how that relates to this. And then Chapter 3 talks about owls in the redwoods, the culture of the Bohemian Club and Grove, and later on in this video, we're going to be talking about the owls and the symbolism behind owls and why they're so important, as well as Chapter 4, which talks about weaving spiders, webs of power, in Chapter 5 with politics, or politricks as I call it, Chapter 6, and then Chapter 7, as well as the appendix. And we're only going to go over this briefly so you can get a better idea of who really attends this organization. Now, I'm here in Chapter 4 on page 78, and the reason that I'm here is because it tells you the camp affiliation of Bohemian corporate directors, and you can see all of the different camps, so to speak. At least that's what they want us to believe, but you can see all the different camps in their names: Camp Mandalay, Camp Lost Angels, Camp Hillbillies, Camp Caveman, Camp Owl's Nest, Camp Uplifters, Stowaway, Midway, River Lair, and Silverado Squatters. And as you can see, a lot of this has to do with owls. I wonder why they're so fascinated with owls. Interesting. But as you can see, even with Camp Mandalay, Henry Kissinger is in Camp Mandalay. Oh my goodness, what is the bigger agenda? Oh no, this is no ordinary camp, my friends. This is no normal summer camp. Quite the contrary, because you're going to see exactly what goes on here. But as you even see, I'm here on page 86, and the reason that I'm here is because it talks about the different corporations representing the Los Angeles camp and what they include. And you see that they include a bunch of banks. They include a bunch of corporations like Wells Fargo Bank, IBM, CBS, Mattel, also ones such as Northrop Corporation, ARM Corporation, Sears and Roebuck, Rockwell, as well as many more. I wonder why all of these corporations are affiliated. Isn't the United States a corporation according to the law of Cornell University? Very interesting and suspicious indeed. But it doesn't stop there, because I'm here on page 96 in Chapter 5, and as you can see in this chart right here, it even says high-level positions held by Bohemians and the U.S. government. Did you hear that? And this is a chart that shows 1971 and 1991. As you can see, many of their members have held presidency, but they also hold positions in your lovely government with all of the alphabet soups as well, including Rear Admiral of the USN, not to mention the Director of Office of Science and Technology, Technology, and of course this is according to 1971, but also Deputy Secretary of Defense and Deputy Undersecretary, Department of the Interior. So you can see that they hold big positions indeed. But also back in 1991, they also held positions of Secretary of Treasury, Postmaster General, and the Chairman of the U.S. Postal Service, or the USPS, who's even come out and talked about and how the CIA has even admitted that they've read Americans' mails and that they read your mail and have been doing it for the past 40 years because there is no privacy whatsoever. And these are the same positions that are held by Bohemians, which is why they meet at the Bohemian Club to talk about how they want to enslave us more and more. Not to mention how they even held positions with the National Railway Passenger Corporations in order to get ready for martial law with all of that, and also the Federal Justice Center, what justice, and also the board member of the U.S. Institute of Peace to make you think that there's peace when there's not, and the Museum of National History, and the list goes on. Not to mention Secretary of Smithsonian Institution to keep real history hidden from you, courtesy the Zionist elite. Now, while the dissertation is not that long, I highly recommend you read it, and I highly recommend you especially read chapter 5, if nothing else, because here I am at page 116, and it talks about the different honorees at the Nayland dinners, because they also have dinners too, and as you will see, they also have former presidents that are there of banks, as well as presidents of Harvard and different colleges and universities. But what you also start to see is that there are also many others who are there as well, including the Rockefellers too. I wonder why the Rockefellers are there. I wonder just what they're doing. I wonder what they're getting ready for. And if you read on to chapter 6 on page 122 and 123, you will see that many of the active Bohemian Club members and guests are even featured on foreign policy councils such as the Council on Foreign Relations, as you can see right here, among many others. So they hold all these high positions and these elite positions, not to mention the Trilateral Commission. Aren't these the same organizations that's talking about how they want to depopulate the plane to 500 million, courtesy their Georgia Guidestones? Aren't these the same elite white men who are doing that, the same Zionists who are plotting and planning for world control, courtesy the so-called alien deception and alien invasion? Because when you know who the aliens really are, then you start to understand the bigger agenda and how this goes much deeper than you think it does. Now, in case you're looking for more information on the Bohemian Club and some of its members, then I highly recommend this book that's available from the Harvard College Library. It says The Bohemian Club San Francisco Certificate of Incorporation, Constitution, Bylaws and Rules, Officers, Committees, and Members, because what you will see is that many of our past and current presidents and politicians and those who are at the very top have been affiliated with or know about the Bohemian Club and are also involved with it, not to mention those who are at the very top of the current alphabet soup, such as the DOD and the DHS and the DOJ and the DOE, and the list goes on and on. Why are they even meeting there to begin with? Why is this an annual thing? And what could they be getting ready for? What do they know that you don't know? Because there's something your elite are keeping hidden from you. There's something they don't want you to know. And there's something that your elite are not telling you. And the evil will be exposed today. The truth will be revealed to you today, because the secret is no longer a secret. But as you can see, I'm here at this text document by Dr. Vernon L. Stauffer. And the reason that I'm here is because it says New England and the Bavarian Illuminati. And we're going to be reading from chapter 3, The European Order of the Illuminati, the rise and the disappearance of the order. And this is talking more about the Illuminati and how it was founded, and you're going to see how this relates to the Bohemian Grove. In case you don't already know, the Illuminati is an organization that was founded back on May 1st, 1776 by a man named Adam Weishaupt, and this organization is of course filled with the elite and the Jewish Zionist bankers who are at the very top. And it just so happens that in this year, 2016, the Illuminati has just celebrated their 240th birthday. What time do you think it is? But it goes on to say that on May 1st, 1776, the new organization was founded under the name of the Order of the Illuminati, with the membership of 5 all told, and it's all men, of course. The extremely modest beginning of the order in respect to its original membership was more than matched by the confusion which existed in Weishaupt's mind as to the precise form which the organization had best take. Only 3 elementary grades or ranks had been worked out by him, and these only in a crude and bungling fashion when the enterprise was launched. A feverish regard for action had full possession of the founder of the order. The working out of his hazy ideas of organization might wait for quieter days. The chapter then goes on to talk about many of these orders and how they were established, but what I really wanted to turn your attention to was right here where it says, such in brief was the system of the Illuminati as it came from the brain of Weishaupt, its founder. By means of such an organization, he proposed to effect nothing less than the redemption of the world. In its assemblies, the truths of human equality and fraternity were to be taught and practiced. Did you hear that? The human equality and fraternity and the truths of it were to be taught and practiced. Let's keep going. Its members were to be trained to labor for the welfare of the race, to strive for a civilization not like that of the present, which left men savage and ferocious under its thin veneer, but one which would so radically change their moral dispositions as to put all their desires under the control of reason, the supreme end of life, which neither civil nor religious institutions had been able to secure. The study of man was to be made at once so minute, so comprehensive, and so complete that two immense advantages would result. First, the acquisition of the art of influencing favorably the wills of one's fellows, thus making social reformation possible. And second, self-knowledge. Did you hear that? Then is to say, the thorough scrutiny of the instincts, passions, thoughts, and prejudices of others, which the order imposed upon him, would react in turn upon the member's judgment of his own personal life. As a result, his conscience would be subjected to frequent examination, and the faults of his life might be expected to yield to correction. From both of these advantages working together, a moral transformation of the whole of society would result, thus securing the state of universal well-being. Now, while they may sound fine and good, what is this really talking about in a nutshell? Well, when you look at the Illuminati and what they want to call themselves, they refer to themselves as the enlightened ones. And why that's so important is because their whole theology and their whole philosophy is that they can become their own gods, they can become immortal, they can become what they want to become. Sounds like the story of Adam and Eve, that they would know knowledge, and that knowledge would be given to them by the serpent. Is that what goes on here in the Illuminati? Wow, 6,000 years and nothing has changed. It's time to expose the evil so that you can see exactly where all of this has come from, as well as the spiritual implications behind all of this. Because whether or not you want to believe this, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, and you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. But what I'm showing you right now is the actual logo of the Bohemian Club in San Francisco, California. And as you can see, there is an owl right there. And the question you should be thinking about is, why are they so obsessed with owls? And why did they mention owls all over the place? Because what you're going to see is nothing new is under the sun. This is not the first time that the owl has meant something very demonic and very satanic to not only the elite but to the world in general, because what you're going to see is that the owl is even referenced all over scripture, not to mention how it's referenced to Molech, and it represents fire sacrificing and child sacrificing, which is part of the demonic initiations that you have to go through and that the elite conduct and do at the Bohemian Grove. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you will after this, because what you will find is that the elite and the Illuminati, what they do is that they come together and they team together. All of the elite Zionists and all those men come together here in this campground for 2 weeks at the end of July, and they do and conduct all these rituals and sacrifices to Molech, and that is the owl that you see, and that is what that owl represents. And it even goes on to say from here, from Illuminati symbols, that what the Bohemian Grove is an elite-only campground in Sonoma County, California. Every summer, influential members of the Illuminati gather at the grove to worship Molech in the form of a great owl. The ceremony includes sacrificing an effigy of a newborn child, which groves called the cremation of care ceremony. And that is exactly what they do. And that's why you've been hearing a lot about missing children. And that is why children go missing, especially around this time. And we're going to go over that in just a second. But that's exactly why only men are allowed there and only elite men are allowed, because that is exactly what they do. They conduct demonic initiations and demonic rituals there in order for the elite elite and the Zionists to gain more power from Satan himself, and that is just the darn truth, because we even see and read about Molech even in scripture itself, and how our father Yahuwah is completely against it. But this is going on even today. Wow, thousands and thousands and thousands of years later, and we see nothing has changed. But that's exactly what you see. And as I talked about earlier with the demonic initiations, this is just one of how they do that. But what also goes on at these so-called alleged camps is homosexuality, when the elite meet with old Zionist Jewish men and they have disgusting illicit sex together, and all those politicians all together have elite disgusting sex, which is why only men can attend. But what they also do, is you see today, is that they blood sacrifice to the Al Molech, and they do this through child sacrificing and missing children, as well as abortion. And I know that sounds disgusting, but trust me, that is what they do. If only you knew some of the things that your elite do behind closed doors. If only you knew, because then you'd see the bigger agenda and why you should not pay them any attention, and why you should not idolize them because they do disgusting things in order to get to the positions that they are, celebrities included. Because celebrities will tell you all about the demonic initiations and rituals that they had to go through in order to get to the positions that you see them in, and in order to acquire all of the wealth and the billions and billions of dollars that many of them have had to acquire. Why? Because they had to sell their souls, and they had to sign their name in blood, and then they had to do disgusting demonic rituals such as eating poop and drinking blood and all of those things. I know that sounds disgusting, and I know that sounds unbelievable, but remember, you're the one living in a fantasy, and it's time you wake up and see what the elite do. And I'm trying to expose to you the evil of the elite and the evil of the Illuminati, so that you can see it with both your eyes open, and how this is the season for it, because it's the summer and these Illuminati rituals are going on even as we speak. But right now I'm here at the FBI page, and the reason I'm here is because it talks about National Missing Children's Day 2016, and this was back on May 25th actually. But the reason that I'm talking about this and bringing this up is because anytime you see missing children, well, the question you should be thinking about is, where did they go? Who really took them, and who really kidnapped them? Because I bet you also did not know that your government not only participates in all these demonic rituals and things of that nature and sort, but what they also do is that they're involved with drug trafficking, human trafficking, sex trafficking, as well as child trafficking. So anytime you see missing children, just know where they're going. And just know that the elite are using them to conduct their disgusting demonic initiations and rituals, such as the ones that they do at the Bohemian Grove. But they cannot tell you these things. They do not want you to know these things, because they signed a deal with the devil himself, literally, to keep the secrets. Don't tell the secrets. But celebrities even tell you that they're keeping the secrets when they make the shh sign all over the place. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that's the case? And why do you see celebrities such as Taraji P. Henson and Ariana Grande? Why do you see them with butterflies and monarch butterflies all over the place? Because of Mind Control Project MK Ultra, which is what we're going to go over in just a second. But I'm back here at the FBI's website that even says NCIC missing person and unidentified person statistics for 2014, pursuant to Public Law 101-647 104 Statute 4967 Crime Control Act of 1990 requirements. And this goes over all of the missing persons as well as the missing children that have been founded, and statistically speaking, for 2014. Of course, this is what they're telling us, and what you start to notice and see is that yes, the alphabet soups are behind this as well. Like I said, they do all these disgusting things and rituals behind closed doors, and my hope is that you see that today with both your eyes open. Now I'm showing you more facts and statistics from missing kids that talks about the missing children by the numbers. And as you can see, one column talks about the missing children and also talks about the exploited, and how the NCMEC is authorized by Congress to operate the cyber tip line, which is a national mechanism for the public and electronic service providers to report suspected child sexual exploitation. But what's interesting about this is when it was reported that they received 4.4 million reports in 2015 alone, most of which related to the apparent child sexual abuse images, as well as online enticement, including sextortion, including sex trafficking with children and child sexual molestation. And we know darn well that the Roman Catholic Church and the Jesuits have something to do with that as well. And that is a proven fact. But it's not just them, it's also your lovely government and the Queen and those royal families as well, who also take part in child sex trafficking as well. Why? Because of money and because of the elite and their agenda and who they're pledging their allegiance to, especially at a time as this when the Bohemian Grove is in full effect. It's time you wake up to the world around you, and it's time you wake up and see what really goes on and see the reality that's right in front of you and what really takes place at these secret meetings, as well as the Bohemian Grove and the Bilderbergs and the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and all of that. It's time you see, because I'm exposing all of the evil to you today, because the truth is coming to light and the truth is being revealed to you today. But now I'm here showing you Project MK Ultra, and this is the actual document that talks about Project MK Ultra, which even says it's the CIA's program of research and behavioral modification, and it comes from the joint hearing before the Select Committee on Intelligence and the Subcommittee on Health and Scientific Research of the Committee on Human Resources, United States Senate, 95th Congress, from the first session as of August 3rd, 1977. And the reason I'm talking about this and showing this to you and how this relates to everything that we've been talking about today and what this has to do with your government as well as the Bohemian Grove is that back then, during the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, and maybe even as early as the 1940s, your elite, the same elite who attend these meetings, the same elite who go to the Bohemian Grove and who attend these so-called summer camps, the same elite have been conducting mind experimentation on different sex slaves and different research agencies. They've been doing these things on people as well as people with disabilities. They conduct these research activities and these research and behavioral modification programs and experimentations behind closed doors for what? Mind control. That is exactly why they do it, because if they can control your mind and reprogram your mind to think a certain way, then that is what they will do in order to advance and further their plans of the new world order and cause order out of chaos, as well as to use television and these celebrities and these politicians to reprogram your mind to think a certain way, to think the way that they want you to think, not to mention these Zionist funded textbooks in the educational system, the public educational system I should say, in order to reprogram your mind and to keep you asleep to what's really going on in the world around you. And that is the bigger agenda. That's why they do these things, because what is about to happen, your lovely president is about to come onto the screen with the Pope and the Vatican to tell you that, oh my goodness, there are aliens coming. Oh my goodness, it's an alien invasion. We need to merge together as a new world order immediately. That's exactly what they're getting ready for. But see, when you know that the aliens are the demons and the fallen angels disguising themselves as aliens with the word lie in aliens, then you understand exactly the bigger agenda and what they're planning for. Please seek Yahuwah and his true son Yahusha so you can be protected from what's to come. But hopefully this is giving you a better idea of Bohemian Grove. This is Truth Unveiled saying as always, Shalom.